This is the Super Bowl of large-scale combat operations.
The hardest day that you're ever going to have in the Army is out here in the Mojave Desert.
It's named the Valley of Death for many reasons.
So it takes you beyond the limit.
Hopefully our stealth can outmatch their brute force.
I'm Sian Gweszczak and I'm spending 5 days following the Welsh Cavalry, first the Queen's Dragoon Guards, in the Mojave Desert as they're put through their paces at the US Army's largest training area in the world, 1,200 square miles of brutal terrain.
The National Training Centre is vast. It is the size of Rhode Island, and you can fit the Salisbury Plain training area into here 8 times over.
The National Training Centre at Fort Irwin in California is one of 3 elite US Army training centres. The last time we saw the Welsh Cavalry, they were at the Joint Readiness Training Centre in the swamps of Louisiana as they endured the gruelling Exercise Rattlesnake. There they faced Geronimo. This time they face Blackhorse, the 11th Armored Cavalry Regiment.
The Blackhorse trooper wants to win every fight, and I for one am proud wearing the same patch that they do. We are the Blackhorse troopers, the finest in the land.
We're going to throw a lot at the Welsh Cavalry, including lots of artillery.
Their job is to wreak havoc on the visiting troops, to test them and make them better soldiers.
We have tanks, we have BMPs, we have some light infantry. Some of the special things that we have are some persistent chemical and non-persistent chemical attacks. So hopefully they brought their protective masks.
They do this over and over again and know the terrain inside out.
Behold the mighty B Troop, Queen's Dragoon Guards and detachments ready to head out to our tactical assembly area.
B Squadron, first the Queen's Dragoon Guards, are preparing to take them on. Their boss can't wait to get started.
Once you're there, you need to then get eyes into the John Wayne foothills in a very, very cautious manner to ensure that you don't get destroyed. Professionally, I've been looking forward to the opportunity to come to the National Training Centre for the best part of 10 years. I don't think there's anything else like it. We certainly don't have anything like this in the UK.
We're following 3rd Troop, commanded by Lieutenant Logan. Her parents and grandparents all served in the military, and she grew up on bases across the world. With just over 2 years' experience, this will be a big test of her leadership.
I think in terms of our role, this is one of the best opportunities we will get to conduct our training as a reconnaissance force, and it's really going to push everyone to try and be, the best soldier that they can and really work on their individual skills and drills, and it will test, the commanders too.
One of their toughest challenges when the battle begins will be facing what's called the Valley of Death.
It's named the Valley of Death for many reasons. Not only is it very difficult to try and cross, especially during daytime because it's so vast, but also it's actually very dangerous in terms of the terrain.
What went through your mind when you heard the title of the place?
When I heard the title of the place, instantly I thinking it must be like something going on around there, and driving through that you could easily tell because you're very centralized. If you get attacked, there's literally nowhere for you to go. And it's very sandy. The sand there is very soft, so driving there is very slow as well. So I think probably that's one of the reasons why they call it the Valley of Death.
From the last time I was here, if I remember, it's just over the other side of that mountain. We went through it, I think it was 24 hours after we crossed the line of departure, and it was literally lit up like a Christmas tree where everyone was flashing and going off. So I'm hoping this time we go over it, it's a different story and we can actually manage to get through.
They normally drive Jackal vehicles, but now they're getting to grips with using American Humvees.
Usually we use our Jackal tool to drive around, which is what we train on. We're very comfortable with it, but it also has its own down. In the UK, it's always raining, so and it doesn't have a roof. In a certain way, the Humvee is good because you have the roof and you cover from the dust as well as a driver, but the gunner isn't very much. And it has aircon inside as well, so I'm really looking forward to using that, especially in the desert.
Trooper Enjoyer is from Cameroon and has been serving for more than 4 years, which has included a tour of Mali. As one of the drivers, he's got one of the toughest jobs here, but he's feeling confident.
It's going to be probably one of my major last exercises as a driver. And personally, I just want to use this as a training opportunity to improve myself more, and looking forward now into going to another job role and potentially helping the young guys who just came as well, who are drivers, because they've never driven in terrain like this, and I drove in Mali. So
you're probably one of the most key fundamental players in this in terms of navigating across the terrain.
Yes, definitely we are, definitely.
You feel the pressure?
The pressure is there, but I have like a level of experience, so I'm not nervous about it. I don't feel any pressure because I've done this already before. I just feel like it's a natural thing, and I'm just going to do what I do best.
Sergeant Thomas, who's from South Wales and has been serving for 11.5 years, has been on this exercise before, but since then some things have changed.
I come in 2017 and we had the brief yesterday, and the OMs have said the terrain, they've had the most rain in the last 30 years or whatever, and the landscape has completely changed. So even our maps, we're going to have to judge because it's not going to match on the ground with the contours.
Because you've done this before, how gruelling is it?
Yeah, like last time we come in the summer months, so it was very hot. I believe this time the temperature, we're going to have the adverse effect of that way is 20 to the day and 4 degrees in the night. So we're going to be warm in the day, but then the desert's going to switch on us and then make sure we get our cold gear out for the night.
They've done all they can do now to prepare, and it won't be long until they have to face Blackhorse.
What's your message to Blackhorse?
My message to Blackhorse? Watch out, we'll be exactly where you don't think we are, and we'll be behind you before you know it.
The start of the battle against Blackhorse, or H-Hour as it's known, begins at night. Lieutenant Logan's troop need to find the enemy and send back vital intelligence. They're experts in stealth, so much so we're struggling to find them to check in.
Probably going to be pretty bumpy.
But eventually we track them down.
Evening. Hey, we're looking for third troop.
Yeah, third troop.
We're just hiding over this hill. Take you over. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it, guys.
Well, we've just arrived and managed to find the Welsh Cavalry. It's taken us nearly an hour navigating across this really tricky terrain. It's really bumpy. There are a lot of other vehicles around us. You can see one just in the background there, but we've made it. And now we have to sit tight because in less than an hour, the battle will begin.
And that grid is November uniform 43189793, okay? And that's just the RV for entrance to the hide, okay?
Sergeant Thomas is taking them through the plan.
Okay, actions on IDF, okay, to hit the floor, wait for the bangs, okay, to finish, count every single bang, and then report back to me, okay, and then report the direction and where the IDF has come from, okay. Actions on CBRN, okay, if you do see a CBRN truck come into it or any of that come into play there, don your respirator, okay, and then waiting out for over the net to find out if there's any other gas which requires to go up to address state 3, okay, which is our suits on, okay.
Whilst Lieutenant Logan gathers intelligence from a high point, Sergeant Thomas has to be ready to evacuate any casualties should the worst happen.
So my job will be to push the wagons up onto the top of the crest of the hill, and then I will wait there. Then I'll be looking on my MBG for an IR silo on the front of the body armour, and that's when I'll know it's a friendly force of bringing the casualty to me. So I reckon I could get there to probably in about 2 minutes, and I'll be waiting ready to receive the casualty.
And the Valley of Death is where you'll probably inevitably end up.
The Valley of Death is something where we're looking to cross on phase 3 of the operation, which will probably be, I probably say in 48 hours. So that's when we'll be looking to cross over, if everything goes to plan.
Feeling confident?
Yeah, I think so. Like the OP has got a lot of the pressure. Me, I just got to make sure everyone stays alive and sustained.
Lieutenant Logan and Trooper Enjoyer are around 1 kilometre away.
Right now it's just 27th, and we are directly south of Tifa Mountain, where we are setting our OP location and hide location. And the enemy, from the intelligence we got, they are north of Tifa Mountain, and they'll be moving south towards our location. So we're just setting our OP to screen, and we're overlooking the Valley of Death at the minute.
Have you seen anything so far? I've got some thermal imagery. Through the thermal imagery, I've got a heat signature. I'm just trying to identify what that is. So I've detected it and now need to identify, which is what we're doing at the moment. I've just pre-warned via our ATAC system that I've identified with the signature, and now I've told them to wait out whilst I identify it, just so it prevents them from going onto that position if there is anything there.
We know where they are right now, so it is a good thing. So we know where to go next and how to plan our way forward.
We've sort of got sustainability, water, food, enough for 48 hours, because, worst case scenario, if we need to be here for 48 hours, then at least we can. It's much quieter than I thought it would be. I was expecting H-hour to hit and all systems go off, but yes, it's something about the darkness that I'm waiting to find out.
Right now, from the intelligence we've got, right now, this is where all the action is going to go down. It's going to be really hot this night, yeah.
How fast will we have to move if we're discovered?
Very fast. We have to move very fast.
Okay. How confident are you that you can avoid detection from Blackhorse? Good question. I'd like to say I'm very confident, but again, they're very experienced in what they're doing. This is their 18th rotation in this exercise, so they know the ground much better than we do. They know sort of where the hiding spots are and what we'd probably be thinking as to where we'd be going. So in terms of that, we have to sort of think slightly outside of the box and not always choose the best location, but choose the second or third best.
We can't stay out with them any longer as our presence could expose their position. As we head back to our base and leave the Welsh Cavalry, all of a sudden helicopters come out of nowhere. It looks like Blackhorse is turning up the heat.
Any questions?
No, got it.
Cool, let's bounce. Let's do it.
So, how did it go? We've come to check in with Major Purbrick.
A lot has happened to us. We're now standing out here on the northern edge of the Siberian plain, a full 48 hours after action began, or I guess in exercise play, where the coalition forces accompanied Petunian forces to push the Danovians out. But it's been difficult. We set off on the line of departure, headed down into, I quote, the Valley of Death. And for some reason, I'm a headquarters vehicle, but we ended up stumbling into a very, very dangerous armoured vehicle and ended up taking that by just the two of us, which was extraordinary. The winds then kicked up to about 30, 40 knots. The wind howled down, we had dust, stones flying everywhere, we couldn't see anything. There was confusion. And I think the best thing is, it was just the most simple things were difficult and the easy things were impossible. Last night, there we were, sat atop our ridges, looking down into enemy-held territory, thinking, well, this should be a walkover. We've got this, we know how to do this. At which point, a helicopter came out of nowhere and tore up half the brigade and disappeared, which caught us off guard. Didn't see that happening, certainly doesn't happen in the UK. So we're like, that's fine. We cracked on. Then another UAV came past, a drone, and that, we're like, right, we better start running. Fine. And then the terrain, you're trying to navigate under a full moon, and you suddenly got this huge drop off. And the next thing you know, you're suddenly in the midst of a platoon of anti-armour. Crikey, you're thinking twice about that. What else have they thrown at us? Anti-tank missiles. I think this is definitely something we've learned from, or seen the lessons from Ukraine. And certainly something that we're all learning across the board. A tank's not necessarily safe. An armoured vehicle gives you an awfully comfy feeling, and it's not actually that comfy to be in when a chap's hiding up in the hills with a big missile.
But what about Lieutenant Logan and her troop? Did Blackhorse discover them?
Lieutenant Logan and Sergeant Thomas have been my stalwarts, I have to say. They are the last ones standing out of this gruelling fight. They made it all the way over the edge of the northern Siberian plain and into, I quote, the killer escarpment, where they have successfully reported on enemy forces for the entire time. They've been absolutely brilliant. I think you spent some time with them in the ridges just behind you, which now seems so close, yet at the time was so far, and we have come a long, long way.
And now we're getting the rare chance to go behind the scenes with Blackhorse.
Blackhorse is hands down, without a doubt, the best mechanized unit within the United States Army.
They've got some unusual assets in their arsenal.
Well, this isn't something you see every day. A generator attached to an inflatable missile system. This is meant to be a surface-to-air, an SA-22, but take a look at the detail here. You've got the missiles. If we come round here to the front, they've even bothered to do the reflection of the desert in the front window, along with windscreen wipers and a steering wheel. They've got several of these. This is just one of the things at their disposal to deceive the Welsh Cavalry into thinking that they've got more assets than they actually have. I've never seen anything like this before.
This is one of a number of towns that have been built across the National Training Centre, where role players are brought in alongside Blackhorse troopers to make things as realistic as possible for the soldiers being tested.
So I'm actually not at liberty to talk about our numbers in terms of our actual deception plan, but what I can say is that the Blackhorse Regiment and BFB as a whole goes out of our way to use deception whenever we can, right? Whether that's something as sophisticated as inflatable trucks or buildings or vehicles to, throwing smoke grenades where nobody's actually going, right? So from the individual soldier level all the way up to the strategic level, deception is definitely built into Blackhorse's plan that leads to our success.
We're at 4 of 7 plus the brigade main.
Task Force Reaper is another asset, the intelligence hub for Blackhorse.
On the screen right now is what we believe was the Welsh Cavalry. About 3 hours ago, they were doing refueling operations. Yeah, every step of the way, we're having multiple analysts verify the information that's coming in and decipher what it is. People who are a lot smarter than me are able to take very complicated electronic signatures and decipher who they belong to, what they are communicating, and what that might mean for the future. Similarly, we have analysts who are specially trained on identifying images. To some people, that photo may look like a few black blobs on a map, but to a trained analyst, they'd be able to tell me what variant of vehicle, how many people are in that photo, what activity is going on, and even what they may be doing in the future. We're in an era of warfare where people who are hundreds, if not thousands of miles away are able to identify enemy on the battlefield before the frontline troops are able to. It's unprecedented. If you think about current conflicts in Ukraine, there are people in Europe, there are people in the United States who are seeing things approaching the battlefield before the Ukrainians and Russian soldiers are. And so what I am trying to do on the intelligence side of the house in Task Force Reaper is make sure that everything I know is what everything the troopers on the ground know.
And Blackhorse is about to get a bit more deadly. Take a look at these new arrivals, the latest version of the Abrams main battle tank, the M1A2 Set V3. They've just received 16 of these and are testing them ahead of using them for the next exercise.
I came up on the previous model originally, and seeing all the advancements that have come from it, I can't talk about a lot of them because they're classified in nature, but the upgrades on this just make it perform night and day difference. I absolutely love it.
'Cause I wanna be in the cavalry when they send me off to war.
Throughout Exercise Diamondback, the Welsh Cavalry are working with 4th Squadron, 10th US Cavalry Regiment, or 410 Cav, call sign Blackjack. They have 4 subunits: Apache, Comanche, Blackfoot and Dakota. We've come to meet Apache Troop.
It's loud, it's big, it kicks up a lot of dust, so we're just a reconnaissance by force. So when we show up, they know we're there, we want them to know we're there, and we want them to peek their heads out. That's kind of our main goals. I personally love the Bradley. Some people don't like the Bradley. I think it's a great fighting system and something to be on. It's kind of like your mobile home as well. So the more you take care of it, the more it'll take care of you.
Working with the Welsh Cavalry has been, in one word, fantastic. Extremely professional, extremely experienced, absolute experts in their field.
It's not just Blackhorse the soldiers have to contend with. There are all kinds of creepy crawlies in the desert.
We've actually had 2 soldiers bitten, not badly, but they did wake up, so what's happened? One of the guys woke up with the most enormous creepy crawly on top of his face, which I think gave him a shock, more so than opful. So yeah, I think everything, the environment, the enemy, the sheer training demand and the natural demands of it, they're really coming to the fore. I don't know if it shows. I mean, I'm knackered.
But you're still smiling.
Yeah, because it's good. You know, if soldiers are developing and they're having fun, then we all are.
We have like tarantulas, spiders, scorpions, snakes. I'm really hoping I see like a rattlesnake, because I've never encountered a rattlesnake before. Because they live just in the desert, and where I come from, they're not desert. So I'm actually excited to see the rattlesnake.
It's 7 a.m. and we're spending the day getting a bird's eye view of the exercise. I'm flying on a Black Hawk with the commanding general of Fort Irwin.
Exercise Diamondback is the most realistic large-scale combat operation that you're going to find on this side of combat. And it is truly the Truman Show.
The troops being tested face a number of scenarios. Every move they make across the training area is watched. Every vehicle and every mission is tracked by their computer systems so that at the end they can unpack the lessons learned. They're dropping us off close to where the action will be unfolding, and while the General invites us for a fry-up breakfast, we know it won't be long before the Welsh Cavalry, working with their American counterparts, face one of their trickiest tests here.
So a river crossing is much like trying to thread a brigade combat team. 1,800 vehicles, 4,300 people through the eye of a needle. And once you get to the other side, you have to rapidly establish security. You've got to move very, very quickly to get to the other side. But you can't afford to bunch up on the near side because, of course, the enemy's artillery is on you the entire time.
There's no water in this desert, so a fake river has been marked out with 2 bridges on each side. This test isn't about crossing water, it's about how complex it is to get troops from one side to the other.
The Ukrainians recently attempted this near Kherson, and we recognize just how difficult that is. And once you've established the foothold on the far side, that's where the real hard work begins, because now you have to sustain it and resupply it and continue to expand your lodgement. So we are deeply humbled by what the Ukrainians are attempting in Ukraine now, and we see how hard that is as we try to do it out here.
Blackhorse will do all they can to stop them.
As soon as they try and cross this bridge that we have over here to the east, we're going to make it very difficult for them to build combat power on the north side of that bridge, and any chance that we get to delay and disrupt his movement, we're going to exploit it.
So what you see behind us right now is the brigade is approaching that river crossing site. And what they have to do is set the conditions on the far side with artillery and smoke, and they're working to do that right now, and then rapidly get an initial force across. And once they've secured the far side, to move very, very quickly without creating a traffic jam on the near side to establish a bridgehead. Now, as soon as they do that, they can expect an enemy counterattack, and that's exactly what we've got prepared for them.
It's time. A number of vehicles begin to make it through.
This is the Alpha Company of 168 Armor. They just came across as the initial element, and they are moving to establish a defense here on the far side to ensure that they can secure this river crossing site now that they've seized it.
What are your thoughts on how they've done it? Would you have done it differently?
This is really, really hard. There's 1,000, it's very simple from a distance, but there's 1,000 things that must go perfectly right to be able to synchronize this many people in an environment where the enemy's trying to do everything he can to take away your capability. And so they struggled with tempo, but now that we're moving with aggression, and it's great to see them attacking very successfully.
The challenges these soldiers have faced here has added a new layer of experience, vital practice for when they have to fight in a real war.
You said this was the best training area on the planet. Has it lived up to that?
Yeah, early days, I can definitely say yes, it certainly is. I think it is the best training area on the planet. How have they done? Brilliantly. I genuinely mean that. As a force, I think the most important principle is maintenance of morale, and throughout it all, they've been smiling. It's serious business, but ultimately, everyone's still having fun. And if you're having fun, it means they're learning. And if they're learning, it means they're getting better at their job.
Their final task, to leave their calling card in the Valley of Painted Rocks, a tradition going back to the 1980s. B Squadron, first the Queen's Dragoon Guards, have left their mark and hope one day they'll be back. Sian Gweszczek, Forces News in the Mojave Desert.
Thanks for watching. For more from Forces News, like and subscribe to our channel.